Thank you for joining me today on the Garbage Bag Girl podcast. This podcast is about all of us. It's about the things and the ways that make us feel pushed down and small. It is about how the smallest acts of kindness make the biggest impact each day. No one should feel like garbage, ever. Enjoy the show. Hi, welcome to the Garbage Bag Girl podcast. I am Celeste Edmonds, author of Garbage Bag Girl. And today, I always say I'm so excited and I have a special guest, but I just realized that I say that a lot because just like I say, this is my favorite holiday. And my kids are like, you know, they're all your favorite holidays because I love, if you know me, you know I love celebration and I love every day is a miracle and I love to celebrate everything. But I have Rob Adams and we were just talking offline. I'm always emotional when I'm around Rob, so it's okay. I have a tissue. But this podcast for me is one of the most real things that I do publicly without masking a lot of feelings because I feel like, as we've talked about, that there's this who we are on the front of the world and who we are on the back end. And then we're always trying to merge the two. And thank you for being here, first of all.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Rob's one of my favorite people, y'all. And I was telling him it's because, gosh, he's just so dang multifaceted. When I met you, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Maybe we're approaching that through mutual friends. There was this initial, oh, you're an executive director and he's an executive director of a charity. So maybe you guys should meet. And then we were trying to like hook up with other executive directors who were like, we all have kind of these pain points. And then I learned all these beautiful things about you. Your own personal journey, of course, your own personal story is great. You're a believer in clean water. You're a realtor. You're a spiritual journey seeker. You have the American Mastermind Podcast. Is it President and CEO of Thanksgiving Heroes? Or
Founder.
what's your title? Founder. Okay. I'm sorry. Let me go bigger. Founder of Thanksgiving Heroes.
So that means I have absolutely no say in how things go.
Now I just let people run it, which
Yeah.
is weird. So tell us why are you multifaceted? What makes you that guy? Or yeah.
Great question. I decided in my life that I only want to do things that are meaningful. I've done a lot of things to make ends meet, to pay the bills, but it's more important than about making money. It's about contributing and doing things that are important in my life. And so it's a theme.
It is a theme. So I want to dip into all those things. And one thing, the Garbage Bag Girl podcast is really about in writing the book for me, obviously it started because I moved with my stuff in a garbage bag every 6 months, but then it really turned into the way we view ourselves, a reflection of how we can view others and the things we say in our brain that you and I make jokes about sometimes. Like you have the funniest one-liners about the people in your head and the things that you say that I'm always like, I got to write that down. Rob is so funny. He says these one-liners, but they're really not as funny as we like to joke about because humor helps us, but they really are about those deeply embedded things that pop up that we say about each other. And every once in a while you get to a place where you recognize those are overwhelming and you do these cool things like you go to Peru for a couple weeks or this last time. Tell us about this last experience.
I just got home from a 10-day silent retreat of the Vipassana is the...
I've been dying to know about 10 days of silence. Like I can't even be silent. Listen to me for 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's hard. It was, in fact, one of the hardest things I've ever done.
I can't imagine.
So for 10 days, there's no phones. There's no talking to one another. You can talk to the monk or to the teacher. Those are the only two people. You can't write in your journal. There's no reading. There's no eye contact. When you sit down for dinner to eat, there's a small table and you're facing the wall, sitting next to someone who else is also facing the wall. I shared a room. I had a roommate and there was a curtain between us, no talking.
How many people were there?
There was about 50 total.
50 people, silence for 10 days.
Yeah. Yep.
Did anyone not make it?
There was 3 males that I know that didn't make it, but they keep the females separated from us. And so I didn't keep score over there. I'm sure that the washout happened because it is.
And when I say not make it, I only think that sounds harsh, but I don't know if I would, because I'm such a peopler, and connection for me is part of what makes me me. And so turning that off, and you're that way too.
Oh yeah. It was hard. That was one of the hardest things because I do gain energy from others. And so taking that opportunity to not stand in the light and to bask in these relationships, because my relationships really determine my happiness. And so there I was for 10 days, no relationships except for one. And that was with me, with myself. And the reason that we have, the minute I wake up in the morning, I turn on my music. I listen to music at the gym. I listen to a podcast in my car. I'm on the phone all the way till I fall asleep again. There's something happening to distract my mind from the things that I have pushed down or that I don't want to think about or that I'm fearful of. And I had 10 days of sitting with those demons.
So is that really why you wanted to do it?
No, the reason that
just come up.
That's what came up. The reason that I wanted to do it is because I'm sick of thinking about the things I'm thinking about. There has to be a serious pattern interrupt to change my addiction to scrolling and to significance I'm addicted to drama. I'm addicted to craving, and I'm addicted to all of these different things in my life. I have these addictions and I have to stop. I've gotten to where I am and I feel as though I'm successful in my life with the tools that I've been given. Yeah. But if I want to progress or I want to grow, I have to get new tools. And I have to surrender those old tools that have driven me through fear, guilt, and shame to this point. I need to start moving forward in love and faith.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, it's so good.
So that's why I did it. And I have to tell you, it was the single hardest thing that I've ever done. Not talking to people, hearing my these rants, these craziness in my mind. On day 3, I thought for sure I thought I was going to lose my mind. I saw myself in the mirror and I looked panicked. I saw that Robbie, and I thought that guy's struggling. Like I could see.
And you're like, I have 7 more days.
I have 7 more days to go. I can't do this. And
it makes my heart heavy for you. Yeah.
It was hard. And for 3.5 days, we focused on just one thing, and that is the sensation of air coming in and out of our nose and feeling our upper lip. Just this one area. I just need to think about this breathing. And every time I started, my mind would take off, I'd have to come back to my breathing.
So do they give you one thing a day to change up and think about?
No, not even a day. For 3.5 days, I worked on one thing. You sit for 11 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Indian style, which is hard. Hard on the knees, hard on the back. Shoulders hurt. Everything hurts. But that's part of it. Like I have to feel.
Those sensations.
Yeah, because I don't feel my body. I joined the Navy when I was right out of high school. And the theme that is in the Navy is that when you have reached your maximum, you're only at 60%. You still have 40% left in your body. And so in boot camp, in these like difficult physical running and all the obstacle courses and everything, I always believed. And so what you end up doing is shutting down your body and pushing through, which is one of the reasons I'm successful, is because I can go way past anyone else. I have that ability to outwork and out hustle.
But you're one of the most resilient people I know.
Because of this one skill, the fact of the matter is because of that, I haven't felt my body since I was about 20. I can go and I can get injured.
So
I've done it before.
Tolerance is just
through the roof. I'll be injured and bleeding and not realize it until I cut myself or something like that because I'm so unconscious of my body. Where do I hold my stress? Where am I holding my dis-ease? Where am I holding these things in my body? And you have nothing to do but think about this little space. You're telling your brain, our brains are basically like a little 5-year-old. And if you told your 5-year-old, sit here and be quiet.
You throw a temper tantrum.
After about a minute.
Yeah.
And then you'd, okay, cool. You got your temper tantrum. And then, okay, but I still need you to sit here and be quiet. And then he would go for a second and then could always temper tantrum. That's what my brain did for 3 days. And I would have to shh. Okay, buddy. Okay. Sit.
Talk to Robbie.
Talk to Robbie. Shh, we got this. Just sit here and be quiet. focus on the breathing. And then the second part was, then after you focus on the breathing for 3.5 days, then you focus on this point at the top of your head, and then just your scalp, and then your scalp and your face, and then your scalp, face, and shoulders. And you'd start to work down your body to your toes, and then you would work up and down and up and down. And I would feel in my back like, wow, I'm really in a lot of pain, but I don't get to move for an hour. I have a whole hour that my body has to stay still, feel the pain. Now, if you think about it, I have to pee, I have to pee, I have to pee. Well, then you really have to pee, because now not only does your body want it, but your brain wants it. And so my body would think, you need to move, you need to move, you need to move. And it wasn't true. My body was demanding my attention away from, so my body and my mind were conspiring against my will. I was fighting my body and my mind. You know, when you're falling asleep and your body goes, like right before you're falling asleep, it does that jerk. It was doing it while I was awake, because my body didn't want me to have the control. My mind didn't want me. And we're not made to sit for 11 hours a day. We're not made for that. Our bodies.
This is intentional.
This is intentional work. But taking that 5-year-old and sitting with him and sitting with him and sitting with him until he could sit still and stay calm and focused for an hour is like developing a muscle.
Yeah.
You and you have no idea how out of control your thinking is until you actually sit with it and listen for 10 days.
Which can be scary.
It's terrifying. Yeah. And so you kind of deconstruct it, reconstruct it, break down and come up. And also when I started feeling my body, on day 8, I had a moment where it's silly really, but I thought about, I had to put my dog down this last spring, and it was hard. Yeah. And I'm the dad. And so I had to be the one that
did. You have a 3-year-old, right?
Yeah.
3, 4?
5. I had to do the work. And my wife was sad and my daughters were sad, and I couldn't be sad. I had to be strong. And then the year before, I had to put down my other dog. And so I started thinking.
Could you have been?
I had to think about this. I had to be strong then too. And I'm also the oldest sibling in the family.
Yeah.
And a few years before that, I had to bury my mom. And before that, and then I had to bury my dad 10 years before that. And the whole time, strong.
Be strong for everyone else.
Be strong for everyone else. I never felt, I never mourned. I started crying, Celeste, and I cried for 4 hours and I couldn't stop. And then I was crying because I couldn't stop crying. And then my friend, of course, who couldn't talk to me, he was there with me. He came up and he sat on the hill beside me, just about 20 feet away. And then I cried because I felt so loved.
He's like, I just want you to know I'm here.
Yeah. Not a word said. But
Which is awesome. When you don't have to speak, what you learn about looking at somebody.
Yeah. Yep. That's all he had to do. Yeah. He brought up a chair. He sat down and he looked over at me and gave me like
got you, buddy.
I got you, bro.
I'm holding you.
Yeah. And he just sat there, didn't say a word. And I just bawled my guts out. And then I was embarrassed because he was there. But then I realized he's there because he loves me and I'm allowed to feel my feelings. And I couldn't stop. And then afterwards, I was exhausted. On day 8, I was exhausted. And we meditate till 9 o'clock at night, which is like an hour past my bedtime. I'm tired at 8 o'clock. Yeah, I get up at 4. Yeah. And so I was exhausted. And when I went to bed, I slept like I haven't slept in years.
Your body probably released so much.
Yeah. It was just like, whoo. And when I laid in bed.
We needed that. You're welcome.
Yeah. It was like I had this bubble, and it wasn't even that far below the surface. I had this bubble of grief that was waiting.
Bubble of grief. No, bubble of grief.
Bubble of grief. It bubbled up. And that's what it felt like. It was just like this. And there it was, all of those feelings and about my dad and about my mom. And it just started with my dog. And it was.
But you started picking up.
Yeah, it just kind of built a momentum like this, like a bubble does. And it builds a bigger bubble and then a bigger bubble and pop.
And you're like, I have these patterns
of
doing this and then no release for me. And no wonder now I have physical pain. And no wonder I'm confused at all these feelings.
I have some anger sometimes.
Where's that angst coming from?
Where's it coming from? Yeah.
Let's think about it.
Yeah, exactly. And it just all came out. And the leader, he's called the teacher, his name was John. And I just said, I'm afraid to meditate again because I don't want to do that again. That was terrifying.
Pause. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, well, that's what this is about. Mm-hmm. I used to believe that meditating was sitting quietly and trying to clear your mind. Well, the truth is, in this practice, meditating is sitting and with your mind, training your mind to become more sensitive, to become more focused. Mm-hmm. And rather than,
I love that.
I don't want to think about it. It's like, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to really train my brain. Yeah. And so.
Would you do it again?
No, I would not do it again.
You're like, I got it. I check it off the list.
Yeah. But I'm going to continue with the tools as we were discussing earlier. I have tools now that I can sit in my consciousness
Yeah.
For about an hour every day, not just meditating. I'm sitting and I'm working on my mind. The power in this is that when I have a sensation, I usually react, is what we do. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I'm tired. All of these things that our body's telling us, okay, let's eat. Let's go get a drink.
They say every reaction takes your brain about 30 seconds.
Yeah. But then what about anger?
Yeah.
And love and all of the other emotions? Those are all still stimulus. That itch on my nose is just like anger. If I could realize that I'm feeling a sensation, rather than react, itch my nose, I can also get the feeling of anger, sit with it, feel it, and observe it rather than react. I'm less reactionary. The meditations teach you to be less reactionary. And I feel like I have that tool.
That's awesome.
On the last day, this is an embarrassing story, but I feel like you know me well enough. I can share it with you.
Safe space.
Yeah. On the last day, I thought we were leaving on Saturday. I was so excited, Celeste. I was craving coming home. I was done. Yeah. I'm over it. And so that's brutal. Got up early. I read the cleaning list. I cleaned my room, had it cleaned while my roommate slept. I had it sanitize the bathroom, ready to go, packed my stuff. I carried a couple loads down to the van. Like I was ready to go. And then I went in to grab breakfast and I saw the day's schedule.
And you're like, doesn't say we're leaving today on here.
A whole nother day of sitting, a whole nother day of this. And my little
Robbie's throwing a fit.
He was like, no, I'm not. I'm done. I'm out.
Screaming.
Yeah, I was going home. I had plans. I knew what I was going to have for lunch. I knew what I was going to have for dinner. Like I knew I couldn't wait to see my girls. I was stoked. And then I realized I had another day and I was so upset and mad. And the monk came to me and me and this monk, we had it back and forth because he would always approach me like at my worst. That's just a good way to put it. My worst.
By design, I'm sure.
He could see that I was like boiling up and he'd come at me. And I sat in meditation and then I'm like, wait a second. This is exactly what I'm doing here. Yeah. Here I have this stimulation.
Let's not forget. Already.
I'm craving something. I've assigned an intention around my craving and there's nothing I can do about it. I could throw a fit or not and have a great day. I had like this whole moment of resetting and it was like the exclamation point on the sentence. I felt like this is the lesson that I'm here for.
The exclamation. What'd you say?
Exclamation point on the sentence.
Exclamation point on the sentence. I'm gonna give you Rob-isms. You're welcome.
My one-liners.
You're gonna want to write these down.
Oh yeah. And it was what I was there to do.
Almost like a little reminder of your lessons.
Yeah, my little test at the end of the test. And it was good. And then I enjoyed that day. And then on Sunday,
you were really ready to go.
I was really ready to
You're
go.
like, before I see the schedule, I'm skipping breakfast. Yeah. I'm just going to pull right out of here.
I'm in the van, ready to go, like waiting like a puppy.
So if you could give me your top 3 takeaways, pick 3 that either were most meaningful or your most learning or the tools you're going to take away, any top 3 that you would choose that come to mind right out of the gate.
Number 1, we choose our own misery. And then if I'm miserable, I'm going to make you unhappy. And so by choosing my misery, I need to be more intentional. Choosing a misery is through having craving or aversion towards something and then setting intentions around that. If I'm craving ice cream all the time, I'm going to be miserable because I can't eat ice cream all the time.
Yeah.
Or if I have an aversion, a fear of something, I think about it all the time and I'm miserable. Yeah. It's a choice. So I'm going to choose wisely. Number 2, my life is so good. My life is so, so, so good that I craved getting back to it. As mad as I can be about all of my problems, money, family, whatever you want to put in there, broken this and broken that, and I need a new roof or
whatever.
Make that list. It doesn't matter. It's just, those are just stimulations. And the truth is my life is so, so good. I woke up in a home today. I was safe. I had something to eat. I'm surrounded by people who love me. What else is there? Life is good. Number 3 is that our minds and bodies I am not my thoughts. My mind is running amok if I let it. And that mind is wired to be unhappy. My mind is to look for things to protect me from, to stay safe from. Don't do it. You're not good enough. You're too old. You're too tall. You're too short. You're whatever. I can't listen to these thoughts because my mind, thank God, is there to keep me safe, but that safety can make me very unhappy. I have to live outside of my thoughts because I am not my thoughts. I am more than that. Those are the 3 big ones.
I'm so proud of you.
For making it?
No, just, it's hard to be vulnerable and real and put the thoughts aside on how it's going to be perceived. When I was writing Garbage Bag Girl, thank goodness I was coached to, my co-author, Richard Paul Evans, holds these writing retreats at his ranch every year for people who are maybe considering or are going to publish a book. And he always says, I give you permission to write a crappy book, he always says. I don't give you permission to publish it, which is, it's like recording a podcast. There's a belief that the editing phase is going to work through all the mistakes and errors that we're making. And so now I translate that in things I do in life that are really about, and sometimes we edit because it's just appropriate, but how often we are editing our thoughts. And so your top 3 really makes me feel like, stop editing, Celeste. Stop editing your life and the versions of everything that you are trying to fix, when the path is the path and you're on it. And there's so much faith around that. You have to remember.
Yes.
No matter what faith you are, there's a faith that has to come in knowing and believing that the path you're on is the right path.
Yeah.
And you're healing all the time.
Yes.
And you're growing all the time.
Yes.
And like you said, it really is enough, but
Right.
we're really attaining and growing always for something more.
Yeah.
Outside of just our spiritual being.
Right. All
the stuff.
Yeah.
And it's,
the universe is conspiring for my best interest.
It is.
That's the faith.
She has your back.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books.
Yeah.
The universe has your back.
Yeah. It has my back. I think the third, if I could add one more thing, the big lesson is that all of these things that I create noise for to avoid, listening to the radio and the podcast and then all the noise to avoid my inner demons. What I came to is that my inner demons I'm okay with me. I'm good.
Thank you.
I love me. I'm a good dude. I'm worthy of the time I spent learning and spending time with just me. Yeah. There's people who want to spend time with me. And I always was like, why? Like, why is it so important that you want to come on a motorcycle ride with me or you want to go to lunch with me? Well, now I get it. I am a good person. And even on my worst, those black bubbles that bubble up, it's just me being a person. I'm personing over here, at my best. And I'm okay. I'm going to be okay.
And it's crazy to believe that the people that love you haven't been around you to see the other stuff and they still love you.
Yeah.
There's a reason they still love you.
Yeah.
And if they can, why the heck can't you?
Right. That whole story of, I'm fooling them. They don't know me. They don't really know who I am. Well, that's bullshit.
I hope they don't find out.
I hope they don't realize that I'm a terrible one.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm all of that thing, all the things that I would judge harshly on they're just things. And I'm, in the end, deep down inside, I'd hang out with me. It's okay.
I'd hang out with you too.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining me today on the Garbage Bag Girl podcast. Always remember, you matter. Please subscribe and share this podcast and visit CelesteEdmonds.com to join my mailing list.